Back here at home, we have fascinating new details today emerging about a narcotics roundup in East San Antonio yesterday. Eyewitness News reporter Sue Kalberg digs into the massive months-long investigation that has resulted in 14 arrests so far.
San Antonio police came to the 600 block of Morning View on the city's east side expecting trouble. With heavy armor and EMS backup, they locked down this block to put a stop to a problem that has been plaguing this area for years.
This effort, I believe, and Sue, you know what I'm talking about here, this effort, I believe, will change the tone and tenor of things that have happened here on Morning View.
The arrest affidavits offer a window into a world most of us will never see. A snapshot of a block where drug deals are conducted in the open, day and night. With help from informants and undercover officers, police have been able to buy crack cocaine here, curbside, for months. 4 of those arrested are facing enhanced charges of dealing in a drug-free zone because both Gates Elementary and the Wheatley Sports Complex are less than 1,000 feet away. Most of those arrested don't even live here, are known gang members, and some have criminal histories going back years. At least one displayed a handgun while making a deal.
It's still ongoing.
Will the charges stick? The affidavits say surveillance cameras were rolling, capturing video and audio recordings of all the transactions.
We may leave this block today, but we certainly won't forget about it.
With regard to the future, here at the East Police Substation, there will be a meeting next Thursday night at 6 p.m. And the police say anybody who wants to be a part of building a better, stronger community should show up. Sue Kalberg, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.